Well, how you doing today? Got a little interesting story today. It's not about a big, well, it kind of involves a big name band. This was back in July of 1993. For those of y'all that remember, I don't know that they have it. It's nothing. If they still have it, if they still have this, it's not on the scale that it used to be, but they used to have the party in the park at Ballard Park, 4th of July, every year. And they have the fireworks. I'm pretty sure they still have the fireworks. Y'all can comment on it or whatever if you want to. But they, 1993, man, they had booked Molly Hatchet. The one and only Molly Hatchet, the Southern Rockers, Molly Hatchet. And Danny Joe Brown was singing for them too. And that year, me and Lori had went to, we had rented a car and drove down to Clearwater, Florida. My sister was living down there at the time. And we got back like that day, the day we were supposed to play. And so we go out to the park. And, you know, we're all sitting around there talking and everything. We played out there a couple of different times, but I believe this was 93. It was either 93 or 94, but I think it was 93 because I think it's the year that me and Lori went to Florida, and I know that was 93. Anyway, we were there, and man, here comes that tour bus. And it comes pulling up in there. Of course, we're all in awe, you know. And we'd never, you know, I mean, I'd never seen Molly Hatchet. I'd, you know, heard the albums, you know. I mean, the two main albums, the Gator Country album, and that was the main one for me. Anyway, there was some other friends of ours that was playing that year. I think, you know, if I'm not mistaken, Bart Hickman. Shout out to Bart. I believe Bart Hickman's band was playing that year as well. It was the same year because it seemed like we remember standing beside the stage there watching them play as well. Anyway, what got real interesting was Molly Hatchet had this tour manager. This guy looked like a biker on steroids. I mean, this guy, he was a big guy, had this deep, gravelly voice, and had this big, cool mustache. I got myself choked. Anyway, he gets off the bus, and he goes walking up to the stage. We notice him, you know, kind of walking around, and they unload this it's like a vanity chest thing that stands up there that has a bunch of drawers on it, and they carry it up there right there at the back of the stage. There's a ramp that you go up, you can walk up the back there and load your stuff onto the stage, and they put it right there. Well, their tour manager, I can't remember who was doing the sound that year. I don't know if it was Pro Concert or who. I think it was a group out of Memphis was doing the sound. Anyway, the guy walks up to the stage and he looks around, and he starts cutting up sideways. All they had for lights was 2 light trees that had like it was 4 or 5 lights on each tree, probably 4. All they had was one of those for each side of the stage pointing in. That was the only light setup that they had for the whole show. When he saw that, man, he started getting sideways with the folks. And he was telling them, look, that is not enough lights. We are not playing with those lights. And they were like, oh, now, you know, they want to play, you know, they want to play real bad. And man, this, you know, I mean, they'd have a burnt run if they didn't play. And, you know, we were going to play Rock Zone. The band I played in at that time was Rock Zone, ROXZONE. And we'd been back together for, I don't know, probably a year and a half or 2 years. I didn't play with them for about a year after me and Lori got married. And we got back together in like 92, so this was the next year. And anyway, he tells them, look, this is what's going to happen. Either they go on next, talking about in our spot. He said, if they don't go on next while the sun's still up before the sun goes down, he said, they're not playing. And they were all like, man, they was turning cartwheels, turning inside out. They didn't know what to do. And so they told him, sure, y'all can play. Yeah, we'll let y'all go ahead and go on next. So they told us we were going to get to play after Molly Hatchet. So imagine this scene, because that means Molly Hatchet was opening for Rock Zone. And look, I don't know if y'all, some of y'all probably remember it. Y'all probably remember it. Matter of fact, Sam, you should remember it, because I believe y'all were there, because I come out and talked to y'all before we played. But we had Molly Hatchet opening for us, and we were like, okay. So anyway, they make that decision, and we're going to play before we play into the fireworks and then after the fireworks. So we were the headliner. And so Molly Hatchet gets set up. They get up there and get set up, and here comes Danny Joe Brown. I don't know. I thought, because now, look, I may have been mistaken about this, because they kind of helped Danny Joe Brown off the bus, and they kind of walked with him up to, and that vanity thing that they brought out there and put up beside the ramp was his. That's what he would like brush his hair and fix his hair and stuff. He had like a blow dryer and some other stuff there. So he went up there and he was kind of trying to combing at his hair and stuff, And I was like, well, man, he's tore slap up. He has to be just tore up. And I was like, he's not gonna be. And look, y'all, I'm not kidding. They people on both sides of him walked him up the platform, up that ramp to get on the stage for them to go on. I mean, he was doing good to walk up that platform. So I go around, as soon as that happens, I go around to the front. I think Ed Bean's there, that I knew him, Ed's dead and gone now, but he was there. Me and him went around. We were standing right on the front of the stage there. And I'm talking about, they started playing, man. And they were freaking great. Man, I know they may have had to help Danny Joe Brown up on the stage, but that dude could still sing, man. He sounded just like the album. Man, they tied into all the, Gator Country and all the, dang, man. They were really good. The guitar player was great. He had some big hair now, but he was great, man. That guitar player was killer. And they sounded great. Put on a heck of a show. So after they got through playing, they walked him back down to the ramp and walked him over, and he put him on the bus. And he just sat down in there right inside the window there, and the bus just sitting there, and had his head propped down. Well, I was just sure that he was just, messed up on drugs or whatever. I didn't know. And that's why we don't need to jump to conclusions, because we don't know the whole story. But see, just a few years later after that, Danny Joe Brown played this. It was a show. I went on YouTube and saw it. It was like in 98, 99. He got up and played, because they had gotten another singer to sing for him, because he had gotten unable. He had a condition, some kind of medical condition, that started really getting him down real bad. And they had to help him walk out on the stage. And they had a stage out there. They had a stool out there for him. He had to sit down in the stool and sing. And when he sat down on that stool and he started singing, he still sounded just like Danny Joe Brown singing for Molly Hatchet, man. I almost said 38 Special. But Molly Hatchet, man. So when we saw him when we played with them and I can say that, Molly Hatchet opened for Rock Zone. We played with them. Anyway, so when they played at Tupelo, he probably wouldn't tore up. The condition was already getting him down, and he just couldn't get around good. And see, I was making that judgment call because of, but most likely he wasn't tore up. He just couldn't hardly get around. So kudos to him for still getting around and doing it as long as he did, because he stepped down from the band. It wasn't that much longer after that. He stepped down from the band simply because he wasn't able to tour anymore. But anyway, so they get their stuff down and we get our stuff set up. Mike Long was with us, great bass player. I miss Mike. Mike died back in like 07. Really miss Mike. Was it 05? 07. He died, I can't remember if it was 05 or 07. Anyway, Mike passed away, and I really miss Mike, but he was a great bass player with us, full of character. Man, he was a character. And we got up there and we done our best. We got up there and we just played, man. And then there's video. I think Billy Ray Sneed has some video from that night, us playing that night, because I remember us seeing it after it got dark, right before the fireworks. We stopped. I forgot what we done. I remember us playing American band, either right before or right after the fireworks. So, we made the best of it, and we had a great time. We played that, and I ain't kidding y'all. At this time, the party in the park was a huge deal. There were several thousand folks there. We're talking about not just a few hundred. We're talking about thousands of folks. Whole Ballard Park just covered up with people, man. They was folks everywhere, and we had a great time. That's one of the times that you remember back on that. You're like, wow. I played with Molly Hatchet. It was a have to. It wasn't. We were supposed to open for them. It was kind of the look of the draw. We were supposed to open for them, but ended up we got the headline and they opened for us. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And it goes back to the story I'm telling you about. Don't be too quick to judge about people's action and their condition, because you don't always know the whole story. This has been another segment from the Steering Wheel Commentator. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.